Hello and welcome to Odds on Champions League Match Day 7, penultimate match day in this group phase. And we are very happy to have the Champions League back in this cold Europe with Alain Valnegri, Leo Bachanian. Hello guys, let's enjoy a tour around Europe, getting very important, of course, these games because there is no room for error for many of these teams. So stay with us. We are going to give you, of course, the best tips and information for you to enjoy the games. Don't forget, if you enjoy our videos, just press the like and let me know in the comments which teams are you backing. Let's go on now with the show. Well, let's start with the two early kickoffs. As always, Wednesday, Qarabaq, Eintracht Frankfurt, and here, indeed, both teams need the win, especially, I would say, Qarabaq with 7 points, because Frankfurt with 4 is going to be very difficult for them to qualify. They need to win both games, and they've only won one game in this Champions League, was against Galatasaray in the first game. The problem for them is being very leaky. It's happening not only in the Champions League, but also in the Bundesliga. They conceded 3 goals in the last 3 games in the Bundesliga, in every of those games. And Qarabaq, Leo, they started surprising us with wins against Copenhagen and Benfica, but the defeat against Ajax left them also with almost no option than getting 4 points in these 2 games, and they haven't played a competitive game in a while.
Yes, Edu, and to be honest, before the start of the competition, I would have thought that getting into match day 7, the table will show things the other way around, probably. When it comes to Qarabaq and Eintracht Frankfurt, that the Azerbaijanis will be out of maybe everything, and the Germans at least in playoff. Qarabaq, as I said, yes, they were close, or at least it seemed to secure already a playoff spot in the previous round, because they went twice ahead against Ajax, and they lost the game in the last 10 minutes when they conceded 3 times. A win would have taken them to 10 points, same as Barca, for example. And now, yes, they will need at least a point here and see what happens in Anfield on match day 8 from Frankfurt. Is all clear, and without getting anything secured, even by winning both games, because with 4 points at this time, it looks very, very difficult, even if then they close the campaign against Tottenham at home. And that's why the situation for both teams, I think it opens the door for an open game, because they both need to win. Qarabaq cannot bet on Liverpool's poor season to think that they can take something from Anfield. I guess they're still regretting that they could not score the 3-1 in the second half against Ajax, and they had chances to do it. And then they later had 4 minutes of madness, or lack of concentration, and they allowed when they allow Ajax to equalize and then to go ahead. We should expect goals here. Qarabaq have scored at least twice in each of their last 5 home European games. And Eintracht, you mentioned how leaky they are. They have already conceded here in the Champions League 16 times, at the back of another 3-3 in the weekend against Werder Bremen. They sacked their manager on Sunday, so we will see probably an interim manager taking them on in Azerbaijan. They have scored 38 times in the Bundesliga in 18 matches, with only Bayern scoring more than them. But to have conceded 39 times as well, it's just a little bit ridiculous. And to be honest, looking at how things are, there is a chance that maybe even both of them won't make it to the playoff. But my take here is both teams to score, yes. This combined with the goals over 3.5, these two together, odds of 3.5.
Well, Alain, conceding 39 goals in the Bundesliga, the highest tally scored 38, the second highest tally. So for sure, goals are on the cards here.
Yes, it's a big limit about Frankfurt this season, and in front of the goal is a team with a high average of goals scored. In spite of they received 39 goals, they're seventh in the table, and that one is a team with the door and the window open in every sense. In offensive way, their attack with 6-7 players, their defense really bad. They suffer transition. In transition, their defense 1-to-1, and they suffer that since the beginning of the season. Xabi Alonso is a name to take the control of Eintracht Frankfurt. In my opinion, the individual player is a good squad. Is a squad must to fight against for Champions League spot in Deutschland, and especially if Germany have 5 spots for the Champions League. And now the goal is that one more than the Champions League. Going to Qarabaq is difficult for every team. Qarabaq, in my opinion, is one of the biggest surprise in this Champions League. Really positive results: win in Benfica, draw against Chelsea in the bridge. Very good results at home. The only limit was the game losing against Ajax. But in spite of that, right now, if we analyze the balance of both teams, Qarabaq have something more, and playing in the field of Qarabaq is always difficult. For this game, I choose no draw, 1 or 2, double chance with both teams to score odds 2.10.
Of course, both teams to score, of course, goals here. Our smart bet going for Qarabaq to win 3.1 with all the problems mentioned for Eintracht Frankfurt. And at the same time, we have Galatasaray, Atlético de Madrid. Atlético right now in the top 8 with 12 points. Therefore, they have to win to keep the spot. Galatasaray with 9, 3 wins. So also need the points to go to the playoffs. Galatasaray not in the best moment of the season. Alain, they drew in the league. They lost the Super Cup with Fenerbahce. We were surprised also to see them losing to Monaco and Royal Union Saint-Gilloise without scoring in the last 2 games in this Champions League. But we know the problems of Atlético de Madrid, especially playing away in the Champions League. The last away game was in Eindhoven, probably one of the best games in the season so far, but they are struggling. We saw it also in the Super Cup against Real Madrid. In La Liga against Alavés, they were bad. Julian is out of form. Sorloth is also not replacing him well. So there are issues in both sides.
Yes, but I think Galatasaray right now is worst. The draw against Gaziantep in the last journey in Super League is heavy for Galatasaray because it permits to Fenerbahce to come back, and Fenerbahce is only 1 point down to Galatasaray, and a lot of factors affect the team. Galatasaray without Torreira in the last game is another team. Galatasaray without Osimhen is another team because he was in the African Cup. We must to check and know if Osimhen can play this game. The feeling are bad. The fans start to be a little tired about the manager. Maybe the manager is a so long stay in the bench of Galatasaray. Fans call a new manager. The atmosphere is not so positive, and we know in Turkey when the pressure is really high, it affects the team, especially against a big team in Europe. Atletico Madrid is not in his best moment of form, but in Champions League away, they're only losing in England. Except that Atletico Madrid give a good image of the team. And Atletico Madrid have the clear objective to stay in the first 8. Cerezo said that, Simeone said that. In my opinion, is possible because Atletico Madrid known to play against biggest team too. And for this team, in my opinion, Atletico Madrid is really favorite. And the odds for me is a value bet. I choose Atletico Madrid winning odds 2.12.
We have to see, Leo, the best Julian. He's disappeared this season, right?
Yes, and he doesn't seem to be comfortable playing with Sorlo. He doesn't seem to be happy. He's a very serious Julian. I mean, when we look at his body language or his face, but then in the Champions League has been different because he has scored 10 goals in his last 11 Champions League matches. The odds for him to score in Istanbul anytime are closer to 2, but he's not the only one that is. He seems not to be enjoying his time with Atletico. Alex Baena is not the same. We enjoyed so much watching him playing in Villarreal, although of course he has like few injuries already this season that did not help him settling in. Thiago Almada, I thought he was made for El Cholo, to be honest. A talented player with a high working rate. Not only he's not playing as much as he thought, but he's willing to leave and go back to Brazil. Conor Gallagher departed, although no one is going to miss him, I believe. The same with Raspadori. But however, all these things said, they are there to make it straight into the last 16. Win the last 2 and you are in for Atletico. Get 4 points and you have to wait and see. Galatasaray record against Spanish teams does not help to believe a lot in them. Is 1 win in the last 21 matches, with 15 defeats for Galatasaray against Spanish opposition. Is the other way around with Atletico, 10 wins in the last 14 against Turkish sides. It's good for Galatasaray that at least Osimhen is back from AFCON. I believe he's going to lead the line instead of Mauro Icardi. Maybe it will be a good game to start both, but I don't think so that 𝐬𝐭𝐚𝐲 will do something like this. I agree with Alain that even what we were talking about Atletico not having an amazing season in La Liga, and although doing well away from home, Galatasaray at this moment is having a worse moment than them, especially after that defeat in the Super Cup against Fenerbahce, and to have a 1-1 draw with Gaziantep 5 minutes before the end on the weekend as well does not help much their case. That's why my take here is double chance Atletico combined with goals over 1.5, odds of 1.6.
Well, Atletico play Bodo Glimt at home in the last match day, so if they win here, I think they will be top 8, and this is a great success after a tough season out in the Super Cup and so far away from the top of the table in La Liga. They have to look at the Champions League. Next one at 9 p.m. is Atalanta Athletic. Here Atalanta also with great options to finish in a top 8. It would be a great surprise. 13 points. They've improved with the new manager. They are way stronger in the Serie A, although they drop points against Pisa, one of the worst teams in Serie A in this Champions League. So far they beat Chelsea, they beat Eintracht, they beat Olympique Marseille in the last 3 games. So they are coming from a good record, and there is almost no option for Athletic, Leo, although, well, if they win here, they could still have a chance in the last match day. They have a problem scoring, and they were lucky, I would say, to get a point against PSG, because at that game, the goalkeeper, Unai Simon, was great, but the team is in a bad moment. We saw it again at the weekend in La Liga, losing in Mallorca.
Yes, a mediocre season for them. They won Athletic 2 of the last 8 matches in all competitions, and those wins happen only in Copa del Rey against minor oppositions like Ourense and Leonesa. And actually against Leonesa, they needed extra time to qualify to the next round. With PSG on matchday 6, at least the first half, I think it was good. Yes, it's true. Unai was MVP, definitely, but mostly for what he has done in the second half. Athletic, they haven't scored for the 3rd consecutive game in this league stage, but that battling version of themselves in the first period was wasn't bad at all. I think the atmosphere at San Mamés was quite electric that night, and the players seemed to feel that energy. And not many teams managed this season not to suffer almost for 45 minutes at least against PSG. And it was the first time that PSG failed to score in a UCL away game since November 2024. So those are the positive, I say, for Athletic. And Atalanta, I think, facing a scenario in which they depend on themselves to make it to the last 16. Wow, I mean, we haven't seen this one coming. They're doing very well since Palladino arrived. Actually, his first win in charge of Atalanta came in the Champions League away in Germany against Eintracht Frankfurt. Last Friday, they missed the chance to win the 7th game in the last 18 competitions when they conceded 2 minutes before the end against Pisa. They have Ademola Lookman back in the squad. He won't go anywhere this winter. And Palladino, I think he's definitely turned the face of this team. He managed as well to give confidence to players who need it, like, for example, 𝐿𝐵𝐻𝐿, who's scoring now lately 3 goals in the last 3 games in Serie A for him. Even if Atletico needs the win, I do not expect them to offer an open game in Bergamo. And Atalanta last 6 games have all been goals under 2.5. And that is my take here, Edu. Alain, goals under 2.5, odds of 1.80.
Athletic are really bad going forward this season. I guess, Alain, you are happy with this new Atalanta with Palladino, and they face Royal Union Saint-Gilloise in the last match day, so they have a real chance to be top 8.
Yes, Atalanta now is pragmatic. We saw especially without the ball, the team improve a lot. In the last weeks, team miss a lot Ademola Lookman to change the rhythm in the last 30 meters. And Palladino tried to play with Zalewski to have that type of player, to 1 versus 1, and try to change the rhythm to the game. And it's still to search his structure in offensive way, because when we saw Scamacca playing, 𝐿𝐵𝐻𝐿, some voices said yes, he will leave Bergamo. Like Edu said, like Leo said, he started to score after the Ketelaar do good game, but in the last game it was not his best version. Yes, Lookman is really important for Atalanta, for Palladino, but the structure is clear. The idea of playing is already clear, and the team in the physical way, I think, is stronger than the team with 𝐬𝐭𝐚𝐲. Athletic is difficult to trust in this Athletic. In the last victory, except Spanish Cup, was at the beginning of December against Atlético Madrid in Bilbao. And yes, it's more than 1 month, really difficult with that concede a lot of goals. And yes, Valverde have some injury player, but it's not an excuse. And when I check the odds about the game, in my opinion, Atalanta is more favorite than the odds. And for that reason, I choose Atalanta winning odds 1.92.
All right, problems indeed for Athletic now. Bayern Munich, Royal Union Saint-Gilloise. Difficult here to find good odds. Perhaps we are talking about the most informed team in Europe right now. Bayern Munich, 71 goals scored in the Bundesliga. This is more than double than Borussia Dortmund. Everyone is clicking, perhaps even one player above the others now. 𝐿𝐵𝐻𝐿, we saw some great assists at the weekend in the 4-1 against Leipzig. They are just thrashing every team. But Arsenal, the only defeat this season so far. Alain, are we talking about one of the favorite teams to win this season the Champions League? According to the bookies, the second favorite, only behind Arsenal.
Yes, it's impressive, especially the average of goal. Now, Bayern, we have the habit to see a really strong Bayern from September until March, and in March something go wrong and Bayern loses season, because now Bayern, yes, the value of the season of Bayern is Champions League, because in Bundesliga they don't have a rival. We don't have an anti-Bayern. And in Pokal is alternative season, is not a goal for Bayern, and now is the champions. This season we saw something more in offensive phase, more alternative. I see 𝐬𝐭𝐴 is a really good signing. Kane is doing an amazing season. Now, against Paris Saint-Germain, Bayern don't deserve to win. And that one, for me, is a little the indicator, no? And how can be competitive is Bayern in the last stage of this Champions League. Royal Saint-Gilloise is not an indicator, is another team will be suffer during 90 minutes in Munich. Saint-Gilloise is doing really well in his local league, because they're leader, and it's difficult to confirm when do you are in the top in Belgium, especially with club the Bruges and Anderlecht is back. To choose a good odds, it was really difficult, especially when we analyze Bayern. I put my focus on Royal Saint-Gilloise, and I choose Union Saint-Gilloise score 1 or 2 goals, odds 2.05.
Indeed, we should judge Bayern Munich against big teams, and they played 2 great games this season in the Champions League, PSG and Arsenal, 1 won, 1 defeated. Still, Leo, this should be, I guess, an easy game for Bayern Munich.
Yes, it should be, Edu, but on Leipzig with Leipzig on Saturday, I think we saw something that happened as well against Sporting Lisbon on Matchday 6, a team that awakens in the second half. With the Portuguese side, they fell behind 10 minutes into the second half, but they still recovered to win 3-1. On Saturday, it happened the same with Leipzig, and they scored 5 goals in the second half. And they have Bayern is a team which is used to as well to have a burst of absolute fire, because with the Sporting they went from 0-1 to 2-1 in 4 minutes, and then with Leipzig scoring 3 goals in 3 minutes. That is so typical as well with this Bayern. And to win the way they done it against Leipzig, against a team that actually have won before Bayern 7 of the last 8 home games, and they did it with so much ease in the second half. So what we could expect with Union Saint-Gilloise, that will arrive at the back of 4 defeats in the last 5 in the Champions League, and they will score as much as they want, depending on their focus and determination they put into the game. There is also Musiala, who is back and provided an assist against Leipzig. Olise also came in the second half. So there were a few rotations as well on the weekend. 𝐿𝐭𝐴, another one who came on the second half against Leipzig. So yes, my take here, of course, is all about it's a one-sided game. So my take, unlike Alain, will be focused on Bayern. Asian handicap minus 2.5, odds of 1.85. Also another one which I could use, goals over 4.5, odds of 2.3.
Okay, Bayern to smash Royal Union Saint-Gilloise. And another big favorite playing at home, Chelsea to win 1.2, because they are playing Pafos, not, I guess, because of the level shown by this Chelsea recently. Rossinior got the first Premier League win at home against Brentford, now playing his first Champions League game after the defeat against Arsenal in the League Cup. Any takes, Leo, from these first games of Rossinior on the bench in comparison with Enzo Maresca?
That nothing has changed, or not much, at least. I mean, the performance against Brentford, it could have easily happened under Maresca. If no one tells you that he's a different manager, you will believe it. Robert Sanchez had his best game of the season in goal, and he was the main reason why Chelsea took the 3 points. Before the game, also a group of supporters protested against the American owners who are making a mess of a club. It was, at least, even if it was far from convincing a win, the first win in the Premier League since the 13th of December for Chelsea. The reality as well, at some point you think that there is not enough quality in the squad to aim better than what they are doing to compete for a top 4 finish. Hopefully Rosselló, unlike Maresca, will use 𝐜𝐵𝐴 continuously to help grow an understanding with Cole Palmer. Hopefully Rosselló will also help Palmer to rediscover his best form. On Saturday he scored, but there was not even a celebration from him. He's frustrated with the season, which is marred by injuries. Chelsea is going to have a stint of 8 matches in 3 weeks, so we will see if probably Palmer resting, and it will make sense. He didn't even play a single minute against Arsenal in the semi-final of the Qarabaq Cup, but again, it will make sense because they need to manage his fitness carefully if they don't want a relapse. I so far see the same rigidity in this Chelsea under Rosselló. Players lacking a little bit of freedom to connect. For Pafos, the point will be dreamland as they close the league stage against Slavia Prague at home, and they could still hope for a playoff spot. For Chelsea, if there are no spaces to run, it's getting more difficult to break low blocks, and Pafos is going to go with the idea of a low block, of course. That is why it's so important to have 𝐜𝐵𝐴 in your starting 11, someone who could win duels and open spaces himself by using his quality on 1v1. But of course, anyway, Chelsea has enough to secure 3 points, I believe, against Pafos. My take here is Chelsea to score in both halves, odds of 1.6.
1 win, 3 draws for Pafos. Alain, Chelsea's closing against Napoli, so it's going to be tough also for them to have a top 8 finish.
Yes, if you don't beat Pafos at home, you don't deserve to stay in the first 8. And now Chelsea, yes, we need to understand a little how the things will be changed. Rosselló is different than Maresca, is positional football with Rosselló, and how the team will be integrate that model of play. I think the squad is built to play in that way, but now to implement that type of football is long. Pafos is a very good moment to make tests, because the objective and the goal of Chelsea are another way. Pafos, except the game against Bayern, is difficult to see Pafos losing with more than 2 goals of difference in every game. And Bayern right now this season is the team score more in all Europe, in all competition. And yes, for that reason, Chelsea is favorite. In my opinion, Chelsea will be win, and I choose Chelsea winning with under 3.5 goals, odds 2.40.
Much more interesting, the next game, Juventus Benfica. Here both teams aiming for the playoffs. Juventus lost in Cagliari, another team that improved under a new manager, in this case Spalletti. And Benfica also changed the manager at the beginning of the season, remember, with Mourinho, but they are far from being good, really far from Porto in the league. They lost to Porto also recently in the cup. They lost to Braga in the League Cup, but Benfica are good against Juventus. Alain, they've won in the last 3 games against Juventus. So warning, or this Benfica is poor?
It was another Benfica. We must admit that, especially in 2025 with Enzo Fernandez, Benfica was brilliant. Was one of the best team in Europe in the first part of the Champions League. Yes, both teams changed manager. One team improved a lot, like Juventus, because Juventus is playing really well. In Cagliari, they don't deserve to lose the game. More than 20 shoot to the game. Juventus miss a striker, because David and Openda don't give the average of goals of a striker who can compete for the Scudetto. But in spite of that, I think that the team, in the economy of the game, in the model of play, in the energy. We see a new Juventus. A new Juventus, when they play at home, they play with a lot of passion, and to Spalletti recover, give back the passion to this team. After the second era of Allegri, with Motta, with Tudor, Juventus was sad. And now I saw a team with the fire. And they have a lot of quality. Benfica will be suffer in Juventus Stadium. Benfica is out of the Taça of Liga, Taça of Portugal too, really far to Porto to compete the Liga. Is the only objective of this Benfica is doing the best thing in Champions League. Since Mourinho arrived in the bench in Benfica, Benfica won only one big match against Napoli, and Napoli away this season is not a reference. For that reason, I think Juventus is really favorite, and I choose Juventus winning, odds 1.87.
Really bad season indeed for Benfica, although they still have a chance to qualify. Leo?
Yes, but I think the game Juventus played with the Cagliari was a good training, if you want, before going into this one with Benfica, because the Cagliari sat very deep, even though then Juventus, and I agree with Alain, they did not deserve to lose that game. They created a lot of chances only for Openda and David to miss. But Benfica is going to play very, very similar. They're going to start very, very deep. Their chances of getting into the playoff will depend on what happens in Turin, mostly as they close the league stage at home, but against Real Madrid, Mourinho's Benfica. So at the same time, there is not a lot of room to speculate for Mourinho here, because they need the win in Turin. But I don't see or expect a lot of goals in this one. Probably Benfica will aim not to concede early or not to concede in the first half, to be in the game with 30 minutes left on the clock, and then try to push for the 3 points. Against Napoli, it was probably the best game under Mourinho so far. They found spaces running in behind with Ivanovic, and they will look the same on Wednesday night. In midfield, I think that Richard Rios is becoming increasingly fundamental for this Benfica. Himself and Barrenechea in that double pivot is one of the best news under Mourinho as well. And I agree with Alain, the voices in Turin are growing louder to sign a striker. There was an offer for Mateta, but Crystal Palace rejected that last week, but they will need one. But going again into this Juventus Benfica, I don't expect the goal fix here. Another goals under for me, goals under 2.5, odds of 1.91.
Next one is also very interesting here, Newcastle PSV, although the odds are very low. I would say very, very low for Newcastle, only 1.48, super favorite. And well, we are not seeing this throughout the season. Not a dominant Newcastle, not a bad PSV. Newcastle with 10 points. 𝐬𝐿TEMADE had another bad game against Wolves, and it's been a little bit dry in the last games. Also in the Champions League, they drew with Leverkusen. They lost to Marseille. When traveling, in this case at home, they are way stronger. And in front of them, Leo, we have PSV, 8 points. Also, they need to win to stay in the playoffs. And in our eyes or mind was the last trip to England, beating Liverpool 4-1.
Yeah, yes, exactly. And for PSV, this is a game that could certify playoff, because then they close the league stage against Bayern. They had already great Champions League nights with that win in Anfield, but also with the win against Napoli at home. They won the last 2 games in Europe against English opposition, winning or losing. This is a team that generally scores, PSV, 18 goals in the last 19 European games. And for Newcastle, we will have to discover how painful it was for them. Alex Grimaldo's equalizer 2 minutes before the end when they play Leverkusen, because he could have left Newcastle in direct qualification places that win in Germany, which in the end it was a draw. It's a season with ups and downs, some memorable nights like the win against Manchester City in the Premier League, or the night with Barcelona, even on defeat, or the thrashing against Union Saint-Gilloise away. But some other nights is better to forget. The one on Sunday against Wolverhampton, more than anything else, probably. The Newcastle in that form, the form we saw against Wolves, could drop points with PSV. But we know this team struggles away from home. Just 2 wins in the Premier League all season, but we also know how good or how better they do when they play under the lights in Sanchez Park. You mentioned 𝐬𝐭𝐚𝐲. Yes, he's now struggling after a good start for Newcastle. He's now 7 games without a goal for him in all competition. He has just 3 in the last 14 matches in the Premier League, and very different to when he scored 6 goals out of his first 6 shots on target. But now things are very, very different for him. In this one, I do expect goals. Full-time goals over 2.5 is very low at 1.4. My take here is second half goals over 1.5, odds of 1.65.
Our smart bet tool, Alain, thinking, I guess, or taking in consideration the low odds for Newcastle, is going for the double chance here for PSV, around 3 really big odds, although Newcastle at home is not easy to win there. Even for Barcelona, as Leo mentioned, they struggle a lot at the beginning of the season to win.
No, but PSV away too, because the last defeat of PSV away was at the beginning of March in 2025. And yes, it's a brilliant season for PSV. 18 points advantage in now, 16 points, advantage in Eredivisie. A really important victory in this Champions League. Yes, maybe only the game against Saint-Gilloise at home was a little, a bad game for them, because winning in Anfield, in spite of the moment of Liverpool, winning in Anfield in that way means that team is a team with a lot of quality. And yes, they managed really well the transition. It's a team arrived to the goal, to the net really quick, and with accuracy, with his clinical team, is cynical, and maybe Newcastle can be suffer that, because PSV accept the high risk of the game, accept the duel 1-to-1, but in transition is a very dangerous team. Newcastle is always the same question. When Newcastle start to play with a high frequency of game, like every 3 days, Newcastle after a few weeks start to have problem, because playing with that intensity, Newcastle don't have the squad, they don't have the deepness about the quality player to play in that way. And we saw that when they play the first Champions League with 𝐬𝐭 in the bench last season, when they beat PSG. And we saw the team at February really tired. And we saw in Premier League against Manchester City in Qarabaq, I saw some limit with the energy. And for that reason, I choose double chance. 𝐿2 is the surprise of the week for me. And the value bet of the week, odds 2.75.
Okay, same as our smart bet tool. And probably the most interesting game, in my opinion, this Wednesday is Olympique Marseille Liverpool, and here the bookies place Liverpool as favorites, although after seeing what we have seen this weekend, it's difficult to back Liverpool. They couldn't beat Burnley. They are struggling a lot in the Premier League. 4 consecutive draws, even against weak teams, and it's not only in this period, it's the whole season they've been struggling. They have 12 points in the Champions League, so they have to win this game if they want to have a top 8 finish, and Olympique Marseille, Alain, they smashed Angers 5-2, bouncing back after some bad results, and we saw the team spirit and how dangerous they can be when they are playing at home, for instance, in the game against Newcastle recently in the Champions League.
Yes, at home is one of the most difficult field to play for every team. Now this season they lose only 2 games at home against Atalanta, when Atalanta was better, clearly, like against Marseille, and against Nantes, but Marseille play with 9 players during most of part of the game, and is not a reference in my opinion. Now in the last weeks we saw Liverpool doing a lot of draw, and what is the identity of this Liverpool? Because you saw Liverpool in the Arsenal field and you say, okay, Liverpool is back to be competitive. No, maybe not in with the ball, not with the creation, but with the solidity. We said, okay, this team can win 1-0 when they don't deserve, and that one is important for a big team, to win 1-0 when you don't deserve to win. And after you saw the game against Burnley, and you said, what happened with this team? Is not. I don't see a team with that continuity you need to win trophy this season. And Marseille, what we can wait about Olympique de Marseille, when they played at home, we have a lot of pressure. We saw a good version in French Super Cup against Paris Saint-Germain, but maybe one of the limits of this team is the management of the score, because Marseille in the biggest game sometimes they lose point because they don't manage really well the results, and they don't know to kill the game against the biggest team. In spite of that, in my opinion, Marseille will be catch a positive result. For that reason, I choose double chance, 1x, odds 1.91.
It's true, Leo, also that Liverpool in Europe, they were able to beat Real Madrid, Atlético de Madrid, Inter Milan. So apart from the game against PSV or Galatasaray, I mean, they had good nights in Europe despite the really poor season they are doing.
Yes, and also it seems that around Christmas, Slot turned the corner in terms of like the backing of the supporters, of the directors as well, but nothing seems secure now. I think that the first one to complain, at least to himself, about Xabi Alonso's getting sacked in Real Madrid was Arne Slot, because he knows that now there are many supporters calling for Liverpool to appoint Xabi Alonso. It's strange at the same time that the uncertainty around the Slot again, it comes at the back of a run of 12 matches in which they haven't tasted defeat, 6 wins and 6 draws in the last 12 for them. But as Alain was saying, they're at the back of many draws in the Premier League, actually 4 consecutive draws for them in the Premier League, something that hadn't happened to Liverpool since 2008. Only probably the 0-0 with Arsenal, that draw didn't feel like a defeat. It says a lot that Liverpool failed to win home games against any of the promoted sides. It happened to Burnley on the weekend, and before that it was Sunderland and Leeds. They won only 5 of the last 17 games in the Premier League, just 21 points out of possible 51 in play. Yes, then on Saturday not everything was bad. They created a lot of chances, 11 shots on target for them. If you look at the XG as well, it was very high on Liverpool. They should have been out of sight in the first half. But as during the whole season, they're conceding always soft goals. It happened all the time. Then you have the Liverpool supporters getting frustrated with the team being so slow in possession. And I understand the Slot wants control, especially after that very bad spell last year. But he's coaching a team that it won't take anything other than attack. I think that Mohamed Salah's return couldn't have come soon enough, even if Salah is far from having the best season of his life in Liverpool. It's a very good for Slot to have him back, because he needs players that can take on 1v1. Otherwise, it's just very slow passing horizontally without proper penetration. Florian Wirtz is another good news lately for Liverpool. Since the 20th of December, 6 of his 9 goal involvements happened for him. But for Olympique Marseille, it's a huge opportunity to be in the playoff after those 2 last wins on Matchday 5 and 6. 𝐿𝐵 scoring against 𝐬𝐭𝐚𝐲 has 4 goals now in the last 5 in 5 Champions League matches. Mason Greenwood, one of the best players in Europe this season. And I agree with Alain. I find value there, and I'm going to take the same route of double chance Marseille at 1.91, and also Mason Greenwood to score or to assist, odds of 2.
Okay, you both go for Marcel double chance. Also, our smart bet going for the same. So let me know all in your comments if you think also we could see a double chance here, a surprise, and Marcel getting something here, 9 points. So they also need at least a point to qualify for the playoffs. And then the last game is Slavia Prague Barcelona. We saw Barcelona's unbeaten run getting to a finish in San Sebastian, 11 consecutive wins after the defeat in 𝐿𝐶lásico. It was a surprise, not only for the result, but for the way it came, Leo, because Barcelona were better. They had a lot of chances. Remiro, Real Sociedad goalkeeper, was the best, but you have to put the ball inside the net, and we didn't see Rafinha, for instance, very important for this team. And Barcelona now out of the top 8, 10 points, so they need to win the last 2 games, easy ones, so they should make it, because I guess here we only expect Barcelona to win.
Yes, absolutely. And then they close against Copenhagen at home. So yes, with those 6 points in the last 2 rounds, will probably take them straight to the last 16. There are defeats settled which may cause you concern, but the one in Anoeta wasn't one of those. I mean, it's incredible that they first went to halftime already losing 1-0 when they created so many chances, and they played very well. And then in the second half, it was just after they equalized, 5 minutes of, I don't know what happened, madness, because Real Sociedad scored the second one straight away, and then they had chances to make it 3-1. But so taking apart those 5, 7, 8 minutes when Real Sociedad was better, then I think it was a very good game from Barcelona. They struck the post and the crossbar 5 times in the whole game. It was the debut in the second spell for 𝐬𝐭𝐴𝐵 Cancelo, although he suffered on the left-hand side, and actually Real Sociedad on that second half, in that spell when they were better, they attacked from his side, and Gonzalo Guedes' goal came as well, attacking behind the Cancelo's back. This is not to say, because yesterday conceding twice, I think it's only 4 goals conceded in the last 8 games for Barcelona, and those 4 goals came in 2 games, against Real Madrid in the Super Cup final, and last night with the Real Sociedad. This is not to say that defensively they have improved a lot. I think Barca is still a team that is going to allow you to have 1, 2, or 3 or 4 chances per game, and then it depends of the quality of the position if they can take it or not. And I don't see that Slavia is one of those teams who can take the chances that Barca always gives you. My take here, Barcelona to win, combined with goals over 2.5, odds of 1.93.
And they conceded, Alain, because Joan Garcia, who's been great this season, also made a couple of mistakes in San Sebastian.
Yes, sometimes he do mistake, but in the last months, I think he justified the price Barcelona pay for him. He won a lot of game clearly. The Super Cup in the derby against Espanyol, he was brilliant in a really hostile ambient for him. But yesterday, in my opinion, is an accident, because in the content Barcelona deserved to minimal draw the game. Now in Champions League, they need to do 6 points. They don't have choice, because it's a good opportunity with the schedule. and what they need to have in the last two games, Slavia Prague and Copenhagen. Slavia Prague is the only team have have less goals scored than points. It's a really curious statistic because they scored only one game against Bodo Glimt, and in the another 5 games they're not able to score, but they're able to catch some point. Bergamo, for example, it was an important draw for them. Now, yes, Barcelona are really favorite. I choose double opportunity X2 with no both team to score. It means Barcelona win without received goals or draw 0 odds 2.50.
Okay, Barca to win 2-0. We saw Arsenal winning here, for instance, 3-0. Also, Slavia Prague lost to Tottenham recently, 3-0. As you said, Alain, they only scored in one game. This is it for our Champions League show on Wednesday. We have another one, of course, for Tuesday. Let me remind you that we have our tipster competitions going on, so feel free to participate and also check out Rivals, where you can create your own tipster competition. Alain, safe bet?
Galatasaray, Atlético Madrid, double chance, X2 odds 1.36.
And Leo?
Barcelona to win, 1.4.
And Alain, your ACCA?
Atalanta winning, Juventus winning, Olympique de Marseille, Liverpool, double chance, 1x for a total 6.85.
Okay, a lot of favorites in this match day, actually. Leo, which one is your ACCA?
I include the safe bet, Barcelona to win, Qarabaq, Eintracht, both teams to score and goals over 2.5. Bayern Munich, Union Saint-Gilloise, goals over 4.5. These three together odds of 7.2.
Thank you, Alain. Thank you, Leo. Bye-bye.
Ciao.